I would like to draw your attention to a pattern of behavior regarding some of the estranged parents on this platform and the way that they talk about estrangement. Their video starts with, "I'm not talking about those of you who were severely physically abused, or, the kids out there who experience CSA. You have very good reasons to be no contact. I'm not talking to you." So wait a minute, you have to be severely physically abused? They're even qualifying what type of abuse, what level of abuse, and what is severely physically abused next to physically abused. So if you're just, run-of-the-mill physically abused, you're not allowed to be estranged from your adult parent. You're not allowed to protect yourself because that's not good enough. And then they'll go a step further. And this is my favorite part. I'm talking to those of you who have hurt feelings. And they kind of put it that way. Not all of them, but most of them. There's a little tone to that, right? Because they're aware that it's more than hurt feelings. And maybe they also feel like, because it's only hurt feelings, like, what's the big deal? They have a license to do that kind of thing because they're the parent, and you have no right to separate from a parent who's just hurting your feelings or just kind of, not severely physically abused you. The reason I want to draw attention to this is because of the fact that that is a gigantic red flag. When somebody invalidates emotional abuse as hurt feelings, that's a red flag. That's telling you this person who's an estranged parent is an estranged parent for a reason. They're not able to acknowledge the damage that hurt feelings causes. I've been estranged from my mother for the better part of 30 years, before it was a trend, according to the estranged parents, before I had videos that I could watch to let me know that I'm not alone and that I'm not the crazy one. I mean, I'm a little crazy, but not that kind of crazy. Not the damaged goods, you're sick in the head crazy. Oh, is that emotional abuse or is that hurt feelings? Because those are literal words that my mother used towards me from my earliest memories. That's what she told me about myself. That's what she told me. That's who she told me I was. But that's just hurting my feelings. That's not developing a feeling of self or anything, right? I mean, it's only my mother after all, but she's your mother. I didn't go no contact with my mother because she hurt my feelings. I didn't even go no contact with my mother because of the physical abuse, severe or not, it's all the same. I didn't go no contact with my mother because of the times that she left me with someone who was doing CSA on me. I don't know how I can put things because, some platforms will delete a video so I'm being careful. That's why I said it that way. I didn't go no contact with her because of that. Oh, and as far as the physical abuse goes, when my mother dropped me out of a 2-story window and tried to unalive me for financial gain, my little 5-year-old self healed. Those bones healed. I was in casts for probably 2 months. I don't know. I have no idea, but I know it was a long time. I walked away with 2 broken arms. That healed. But you know what didn't heal so well? Was the knowledge that my mother hated me so much that she could drop me out of a 2-story window. Oh, but that's physical abuse. That's a good reason. But that's not why I went no contact. I went no contact because of the emotional violence. I went no contact because at every turn, both verbally and non-verbally, my mother was making me feel like I was nothing and that I deserved to be abused. I went no contact not because she wouldn't take ownership of those things even. And as a matter of fact, when I became an adult and I recognized that I needed my mother's love, or thought I needed my mother's love. I do need my mother's love. Not her. I need a mother, a real one with the capacity to love. But when I really came to terms with the fact that if I kept trying to bring these things up, and I only tried once, or, you know, made things difficult with her in some way, I was never going to be able to get that love. Oh, was that my early childhood training from her? Yep, it sure was. So here I went into being good little girl, and all I asked of her was to be kind to me in real time. And I also asked of her to treat my children in a way that was equitable. 2 different ages, it's not going to be exactly even, Steven, equal all the time. I get that. But not treating one of my children like she was, well, the golden child, the queen of the universe, and my younger child, my son, like he was non-existent. So really, I only had 2 requests of her: kindness and respect. She couldn't do it because my mother is a sociopath and a narcissist, and emotional control is everything to her. And she derived pleasure from continuing to hurt me. I know there are a lot of adult estranged children out there who have gone back and back and back and back, trying, I did it, by the way, I did it more than once, trying to repair a relationship that they didn't damage in the first place. Going to therapy on their own, taking responsibility for the healing that they shouldn't have responsibility for, but we don't have a choice because that we're either left with healing or not healing. So it ultimately is our responsibility. It should have never been created. But we go back and we try to give our parent what we learned even, or, you know, just try to say, listen, we can have a relationship moving forward. There's a few topics that I would really appreciate if you don't go after and do and whatever. And then the next thing you know, you're with that parent and they're like, wow, you know, you're getting a little chunky there, and saying really diminishing things. And isolated, for some people, they may not look like a big deal. I think it's a big deal, even one statement that is meant to hurt somebody else's feelings, hurt feelings. But to somebody else, it might look like, well, you know, can't you just like deal with it? But she's your mother, that sort of thing. No. One, why should we? Why should we live in a relationship where we're not safe, where we're not loved, where we're not respected? Oh, because it's our mother? That's exactly why we shouldn't. Because it's our mother. And they're the person who's supposed to be our biggest cheerleader, teaching us about ourselves in a way that launches us into the world with the greatest of advantages, instead of trying to destroy us, to be emotionally dependent on them and be the kind of people who are constantly looking to earn love that should be freely given. Narcissistic parents continue to create damage through traumatizing their adult children based on the wounds that they put there in the first place. So when my mother would say something to me that was derogatory, it wasn't just a moment in time. It was all the moments in time. It was all the insecurities that she put there that got woken up, that made me go back into spinning out and doubting myself, all while I'm going to therapy and trying to heal from what I didn't know was complex PTSD caused by her. But hey, you know, it was just hurt feelings.